Welcome to the second episode of Pricing Mastery. My name is Jonathan DeLeon and I'm the Business Development Manager at Focus First. In this video, I'm going to go through advanced MLS searching. How do you search for the right information so that the Focus First pricing software can still create accurate patterns when the listing or home you're looking at does not fall into a standard neighborhood? In this video, we're going to go through real life examples and show you just that. So let's jump into it. The Focus First pricing software is a powerful tool that helps you price and position any home or property. The majority of the time, getting the right data for it is very simple. However, there are some cases where you have to change your search a little bit to make sure you get the right information so the program can really help you price that home accurately. So let's jump into this and really learn some of the advanced MLS searching techniques for when you have a couple different cases of homes not being necessarily standard. So first off, what defines a standard home? And this is giving you the majority of your time, 70 to 75%. This is when a home falls into a well-defined neighborhood. When this happens, your pricing search is going to be by the neighborhood, the last 2 years, all status activity, searching by the same property type. Meaning if you're pricing a single-family home, you're going to look for single-family homes. If you're pricing a condo or a multifamily property, you're going to look for the same property type, multifamily homes. Now, in this case, after you have this, that last 2 years data will help you make the patterns, help you make the scattergram, and find that competitive price range. Then you go to your positioning search. You're going to look at a comparable locale, whether it be city or an area of a city. You as an agent will know what the actual comparable location is. And we'll give you a bigger example is if you're having trouble defining that, of how you can define that without necessarily just that gut instinct or that real estate knowledge later on in this presentation. But you can go to positioning search by comparable locale, competitive price range, the last 2 years, all status activity in the same property type. Now one thing I want to make sure I note here, you're looking at all status activity. No, you're not going to position against properties that are not actively for sale right now, whether it be under contract, for sale, or even coming soon. However, the whole point of getting the all status activity allows us to create patterns in the back end to predict the future competition accurately. So this here is your pricing search and your positioning search for a standard home. Now, there are two cases where you're going to need to do a little bit different search. The first case, if there's no well-defined neighborhood. The second is if that property has a unique feature that makes it difficult to compare to just the homes right next to it. Now to explain both of those, let's look at an example. The first here is looking for pricing data in an area without a well-defined neighborhood. In this case, instead of just looking for the neighborhood, we're going to use a map search for natural boundaries. Now the rest of the criteria stays the same. The last 2 years, all status activity for the same property type. However, in this case, the natural boundaries will define what the area we're going to be looking in is. Now by natural boundaries, what I'm saying is you're going to look for main busy roads, you're going to look for natural landscape markers. Often you'll find train tracks dividing areas or interstates, or zoning changes where you see very quickly that you go from single family homes to multifamily complexes, or you go from single family homes to mixed use where you have a lot more businesses filtering in. They're very clear and they're very easy to see when you go to the map search feature from above. So let's look at an example just to kind of highlight the clarity sometimes that you'll find in this. This home here, 3181 Thistlebrook Circle, is in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Now in the area it is located, there's not a great well-defined neighborhood. However, when you look at a map search, you can very clearly see a natural boundary. You can see this green space here that basically creates an island of these homes, and some of them are in the same neighborhood, some of them are a different neighborhood, if you will. However, this natural boundary clearly delineates one specific area. So when searching for pricing information, we went ahead and searched basically around that area, using the natural boundaries to define our pricing search. Now once we did that, and once we found the competitive price range, then we had to look at positioning the home. Now, if we were agents that had a lot of expert knowledge, we could probably say, okay, this area of the city is known for this, or this area of the city is very clearly in this bubble. But if you don't have that clear kind of gut instinct or that knowledge, the other way you can do it is using natural boundaries again. So Looking at that comparable locale, we define this comparable locale by going by those major roadways. So you can see it cuts by the major roadways and then cuts off on the end here on the left side by that natural boundary where you have this major gap. So this here allows us to have a positioning search for that specific area and gives us a pretty accurate model as far as the competition for that section of the city. So that's example number one, when you don't have a well-defined neighborhood. Now in this area, it's obviously very simple to see that the pricing search, you can have those natural boundaries. In other cases, you might have had to do a pricing search like this, where you have natural borders defined by busy roads. But there is the other case, when a home has a unique property identifier. Now, what do I mean by unique property identifier? Usually has lot size, permitted use such as horse property. They can be lakefront or they can have specific views. If you have mountain range, it can be mountain views. If there's a specific monument that is in your city or a specific landmark, views of that tend to always be valued and grouped together, even though they might be in different areas in the city. So in this case, again, going back one step, we're looking for that unique property identifier, and when we search for that for pricing information, we're going to search for homes or properties that have that same identifier in a comparable locale, the last 2 years, all status activity in the same property type. Now, let me give you an example here of what we did. So this home is a larger home, and if we look here at the lot size on this house, it is actually about 5 acres of land. So in this case, what we're going to look for is, going back, by lot size. So our search here was searching for homes in West Loveland with 3 to 10 acres. Now, that being said, why are we saying West Loveland? And how do we define West Loveland? You can see here the sold properties in the map that we brought up. And right here along this right-hand side, what you'll see is the I-25, or the major highway that cuts Loveland down the center. So that's kind of that clear defining line for us for comparable locale. And this is a little bit of that agent knowledge. And again, we believe the agent matters, so some of that will always filter in to look for properties that all fit that same criteria. Are they in the same city? Do they fall into the same zoning? And do they have a similar lot size? Now, in this case, we went from 3 to 10, so we went a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, but we wanted to look for homes that have that. And in this case, it's not in the MLS sheet, but it is one of the things that we were told up front. It's also zoned allowing horses. So we searched and made sure that all these properties allowed horse property as well. So now we have a pretty good swath of homes that have sold that we can look at and use as a baseline to find our competitive price range. Now when it comes to positioning, we don't need to do a new search. This is a case where it's a little bit different because we've already looked at the comparable locale, and in this case we only want to position against homes that have that same unique property identifier. In most cases, when we look at positioning, we're going to look at the buyer's eyes, and they're going to search by price range. However, when there's something very unique about the house, and it's one of the key factors about what makes that home valuable, buyers that want to buy that kind of home are looking for that same criteria. So that's why we're going to focus on that same unique property identifier, not necessarily just price range. So there's no new search needed. We would go ahead and position then against the same homes. These here are the homes that are were actually actively for sale during the time, and that's giving us the right information to go ahead and position now. Hope this clears some of that up for you. If you don't have a well-defined neighborhood, you search by the map search for natural boundaries. If you have a home that is very unique or has a unique property identifier, you make sure that you search by that unique property identifier. In the first case, with no well-defined neighborhood, you still have to do a positioning search based on price range. In the second case, you don't do another positioning search because you already have all the information that's actually relevant. Now, if you want to have a quick guide to this, we recommend you download the Searching Criteria Guide, which has all this information lined up very easy so you can have at the ready to make sure you always refer to. In order to get that, you log into your account and go to the resource library to download that sheet. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some clarity on advanced searching and helped you master this tool. Hopefully this video helped you master the tools and master your pricing. If you want to see more videos like this and additional videos we release, make sure you subscribe to the Focus First YouTube channel. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.